Everyone is talking about the global AI race right now. But honestly, the conversation is almost always dominated by a few massive players out in Silicon Valley. Today, we're doing something different in this explainer. We're pivoting hard. We're looking at the massive wave of investments pouring into Indian AI startups, and we're going to find out who is actually building the future of sovereign tech.
So I want to ask you a question directly. Who is actually building India's AI future? Because look, we aren't talking about ChatGPT, Google, or Meta today. We're going way beyond the usual headlines to look at the domestic ecosystem that is quietly and, well, sometimes very loudly, trying to build an entirely new infrastructure completely from the ground up.
To really get the stakes of what we're looking at, you just need to see this one number: over $1.5 billion. That is the staggering amount of collective funding raised by the top 10 AI startups linked to India. I mean, this isn't just seed money anymore, right? This is serious, world-class capital flowing into companies that are trying to build everything from specialized microchips to fully autonomous software agents.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover India's AI funding boom, the heavyweights, the software builders, enterprise automation, niche infrastructure, and finally, a pretty wild geographic reality check at the end. All right, let's jump straight into part one, India's AI funding boom.
You know, the whole narrative has completely shifted here. India is no longer just the world's go-to for software engineers and IT services. The ecosystem there is now aggressively trying to build global sovereign compute, foundation models, the whole 9 yards. Now, in the US, funding is incredibly concentrated, right? Just 3 companies, OpenAI, Anthropic, and XI, account for roughly 36% of total global AI capital. But in India, the capital formation cycle is structurally completely different. The money is distributed across a much wider, more varied ecosystem of firms instead of being hoarded by just a handful of hyperscalers.
Which brings us to Section 2, the heavyweights, Krutrim versus Sarvam AI.
Let's look at our first major face-off. We've got 2 massive foundation model giants taking wildly different paths to capture the crown of India's sovereign AI. Just looking at the financials, these 2 are absolute titans. On one hand, you have Krutrim. Founded by Ola's Bhavish Agarwal, it's actually India's fastest AI unicorn, sitting on a $1 billion valuation with about $524 million in approximate funding. But then, on the flip side, you have Sarvam AI. They boast a massive $1.5 billion valuation with $275 million in funding, and that includes a huge recent $234 million Series B led by HCL Tech. Notice that contrast? Sarvam hit a significantly higher valuation with roughly half the funding of its biggest rival.
And their strategies, they honestly couldn't be more different. Krutrim is going all in on total vertical integration. They want to build the entire ecosystem, the AI cloud, the custom silicon chips, the foundation models, all of it at once. It's a hugely capital-intensive play to basically be India's OpenAI and NVIDIA combined. Sarvam, on the other hand, is hyper-focused. Their mission is totally partner-driven, solving India's massive language barrier. They're building models specifically trained for India's 20-plus major languages and highly localized enterprise use cases.
But here's the catch. While Krutrim boasts these massive, full-stack ambitions, an objective look at their financials reveals a pretty stark vulnerability. Right now, a staggering 90% of Krutrim's revenue actually comes from its own related parties, the Ola Group. They haven't raised external venture equity since their Series A, and they're relying almost entirely on the founder's personal wealth and Ola Electric share pledges to keep the lights on. They essentially lack significant external enterprise clients right now, which kind of makes it a very expensive, albeit super ambitious, internal tool at this stage. Moving on to Section 3, the AI software builders.
Let's transition to the fastest growing tier on our list. Instead of trying to build generalized chatbots, these companies are focused on fundamentally changing how software itself is created, and a company called Emergent is absolutely dominating this space. They just hit unicorn status with a $1.5 billion valuation, backed by a staggering $120 million in annual recurring revenue. That gives them a massive 12.5x enterprise multiple. Basically, investors are paying a huge premium because they believe in this company's exponential future growth. And it makes sense, right? Their $230 million in funding fuels a platform where over 5 million users across 190 countries are using plain language prompts to automatically generate production-ready web and mobile apps. They're literally empowering non-technical founders to build real functional businesses in days.
Section 4. Enterprise Agents and Automation.
Next up, we are shifting focus to the real workhorses of the AI industry. These guys aren't concerned with flashy consumer demos. They care about generating actual, measurable revenue by baking AI deep into complex corporate workflows.
And there's a fascinating comparison here. So Kore.ai is actually the oldest company on our list, founded way back in 2013. With about $220 million in funding, they are already deeply entrenched with global banking, telecom, and government clients, using AI to reduce manual workloads by up to 70%. Pitted against them is a newer challenger, EvoluteIQ. They've secured $73 million to deploy what they call a proprietary agentic mesh architecture. Basically, it's a seamless network of AI agents working together to handle really complex, multi-step corporate tasks, directly taking the fight to legacy software giants.
All right, Section 5, Infrastructure and Niche Markets.
When you look at these niche innovators, the variety is just incredible. You've got GigaML tackling voice AI to completely replace traditional call centers, while Avataar is building out 3D generative AI for e-commerce. Then there's Kore Protocol, which is a fascinating anomaly that blends Web3 and AI to tokenize hotel and travel bookings. Interestingly, we also have Hang 10 Systems on the list. That one was founded by former Infosys CEO Vishal Sikka, and they're using autonomous AI to disrupt the exact same offshore outsourcing industry he helped pioneer. And finally, companies like Composio are acting as the crucial plumbing, connecting AI agents to thousands of everyday enterprise applications.
And finally, Section 6, the Geographic Reality Check. Okay, it is time to deliver that massive, fact-checked perspective shift I promised you regarding what we've actually been calling Indian AI startups. Despite being heavily touted in reports and headlines as India's top AI companies, only 3 startups on this entire list, Krutrim, Sarvam, and Avataar, are actually headquartered in India. The others? Well, Kore.ai is in Orlando, Florida. Bunk Protocol is incorporated in Delaware. EvoluteIQ is based all the way in Stockholm, Sweden. So sure, they might have Indian founders, massive Indian engineering teams, or backing from Indian capital, but legally and functionally, their headquarters sit completely outside the country.
Which brings us to our final, somewhat provocative thought for this explainer. Does the location of a company's headquarters even matter in a borderless AI race? I mean, if the talent is global, the capital is global, and the software is instantly accessible anywhere in the world, what actually defines an Indian AI startup? Is it the passport of the founder, the location of the server racks, or the market they serve? It is a super complex question that completely redefines how we view sovereign technology. I hope this explainer gave you a much clearer picture of who is really building the future out there. Keep questioning the headlines, and as always, keep exploring.